Oh yeah, this is how you do Godzilla figures right. Hiya Toys, a company that's known for making figures from various franchises like Aliens, Predator, DC, The Walking Dead, and a few others that they have created, until they announced that they will be making Godzilla figures from their exquisite basic line, starting with the Monsterverse, and then Godzilla and other kaiju from movies made by Toho. And now, I have the pleasure to announce that I own 2 figures from Hiya, that being 2019 Doji Godzilla and 2019 King Ghidorah, both from one of the amazing Godzilla films, Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2019, not to be confused by Godzilla King of the Monsters from 1954. By the way, that's my #1 Monsterverse movie, don't at me. Also, I know that there are other companies that also make Godzilla figures, like SH Monster Arts, Bandai, Playmates, and NECA that one time before they lost the license. Which reminds me, I did dodge a bullet for getting figures from their SH Monster Arts line with their 2019 Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan, and the amount of repaints that they have done with Doji Goji. Hell, one of them is the worst SH Monster Arts Godzilla figures I have ever seen, although I did take a bullet for not getting the special color edition of Ghidorah. But I digress. That's not the topic in this video. Let's take a closer look at one of these figures, starting with the 2019 Doji Godzilla that I ordered from Big Bad Toy Store back in May of 2023. And what do I think of it? Well, I think it's actually spectacular. The amount of accuracy the team went to make it of how he looks like in the movie. And they went above and beyond to not only make the mouth detailed, but also have these tiny eyes on his face. And you could also see the pupils on them. I guess that is also because you could see the pupils on the film too. If I have any complaints about the accuracy, it is just one, and it will be the streaks of light brown going around the figure. But again, it's just one complaint, and I think it pales in comparison to how gorgeous it looks. Now let's get into the articulation of the King of the Monsters. You could move the head up and down, as you could also move the mouth and his tongue. And the head can do a full rotation. Oh, and before I forget, this neck piece is made out of a tough rubber. And so that way Hiya can fix the mistake that they made with their first Godzilla figure. The arms can move up and down, and the shoulders can bend and spread. The elbow is on a hinge, and it also rotates and swivels. The hand does that too. The body can also bend slightly and do a full rotation, but watch out for where you place the dorsal plates, as they can also get in the way and can break during the motion. And watch out where you place your hands on the figure, cause it's so pointy but not lethal. The thighs can rotate and spread decently. The knee can bend and have a swivel, and the foot can slightly bend and rotates as you can pivot it. But I don't want to have a broken ankle pose, especially my Mattel Jurassic World toys. But the tail is extremely posable but also has limits, so don't expect your Hiya Godzilla figure to have the same standards as an SH Monster Arts Godzilla tail. Unfortunately, you can't pose the neck and head high to recreate the scene from when Godzilla in the film shoots his atomic breath up in the sky, but you do have the option to buy variants of Godzilla where he does shoot his atomic breath as he pulses up in blue. And although that he does have another variant where his blue dorsal plates are translucent, that is one I plan to get sooner or later. And another variant for where Godzilla is having that lava looking color scheme for when he explodes a pulse with Mothra being on his side. Another Goji figure I do plan to get, but I don't have the money to buy either of them, so as an alternative, I will be using a fire-breathing effect from the Game of Thrones Ice Viserion toy made by McFarlane Toys, and use either Adobe Animate or After Effects to recreate the scene mostly. The figure is standing up to 6 feet tall and 13 inches in length. So now it's time for the size comparisons. Here he is next to the Bandai Mini Muto figure, the Bandai Mini Godzilla 2014 figure, the NECA 24-inch Godzilla figure, the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex, few Lego dinosaur figures, and the key. I'll save that for later. So yeah, do I recommend this figure? Absolutely, unless if you're going to sell a kidney only to get it on eBay. So I do suggest that you get a variant from Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. By the way, I saw that movie 3 times in the theater and I loved it and consider it better than Godzilla vs. Kong. Don't at me! Honestly, I love this figure and I do hope people are able to get this exact figure as me. And honestly, that wraps up with everything I have to say for this figure. But damn it, you may be asking, where's the arch nemesis of Godzilla? Ghidorah, the three-headed monster! Well, fear not, cause he's right here and coming to you now. Wait, that's not it. Oh boy, do I have a lot of explaining to do. You see, this is the actual Hiya Toys 2019 King Ghidorah I bought. So what happened? Well, allow me to explain. When I got this thing out of the box, I wanted to make the pose of it crawling on all fours. But when I did, the part of the wing snapped and it couldn't be reattached. So what I did arrogantly was use Gorilla Superglue to see if I could attempt to reattach it. But all that did was make a huge mess around that section. You have to be a real idiot if you did what I did. And for a moment, I lost all hope for it. All I could do was have it stand up with its wings upward. Until God has answered my prayers. While I was browsing on eBay, I happened to find an auction where you could win fodder of Ghidorah itself. However, me having a sheer bucket of luck, I actually won it. And how did I fix it? Well, I used the hairdryers to detach a part and reconnect other existing parts. Take this clip on how I did it from that one episode from LEGO Star Wars The Padawan Menace. And well, the rest is history. So what is this, you might be asking? Well, it's a customized wyvern/dragon figure I decided to incorporate. This head right here is Knee's head, because I thought it would resemble it better due to the horns not being messy as the others. And I do plan to use those other 2 part ports for hind legs. There's hoping. As for Ichi's head, it's separate, but I made a display that's made out of Legos for me to put on to make it look like an animatronic. It almost resembles that one animatronic of the Maleficent dragon named Murphy from the Phantasmic Dark Show from Disneyland. And what about Kevin? He's right here. Just laying there lifeless, motionless.
Unable to be something for a greater purpose, other than a corpse that Godzilla ripped off in one of their battles. Just a wrinkly old rest.
Or he'll be used to power up Mechagodzilla, I don't know. The rest is fodder at this point. And you're probably wondering, why didn't I just return the figure and just get a new one entirely? It's because I'm an idiot, of course. But now that that story is over, let's get into the actual figure itself. Overall, the Ghidorah figure is a perfect adaptation of how to do it right. And to think that Hiya Toys did something right when they beat SH Monster as to how to make a perfect Ghidorah figure. And what I never imagined is that they went far and beyond to how they perfectly replicated a reptile's scales. Like if it's something you found at your near backyard porch. Not to mention just how pointy the figure is all around. If not tenfold due to how the structure is built. Even more pointy than the 2019 Doji Goji I have. And the tails are just as good as the rest of the body, but they are detached from when you open the box. So fair warning, whenever you use a hairdryer and whenever you're connecting the tails to the body, connect with caution, because whenever you use too much force, you'll be more than likely to get cut. Anyway, the wings are extremely detailed because of all the veins that appear in both the front and the back. And just like the horns are on the back of Ghidorah, the wingtips are extremely pointy as well, so again, proceed with caution when handling the figure. The feet are no different to how great the figure is, and you could feel the presence of whenever he stomps or flies around the world, as he brings an apocalyptic storm around him. But enough of that, I have now stalled enough to now get into the heads. Here's Knee, Ichi, and Kevin. Something that the director of that film has confirmed. Gotta thank Jawi the Hung for that. The heads are extremely detailed yet so small, but you could really appreciate how the faces were perfectly rendered from that film. It's almost like Hiya Toys, again, did better than SH Monster Arts. And now for the posability of Ghidorah. The heads are on a ball joint and can move around and swivel, and the jaws are on a hinge and the tongues are movable too, yet so tiny. All three necks are on a ball joint as they have a limited motion to how posable they are. I'll get to that in a moment. The wings are on a section of swiveled ball joints, as each part can move up and down and swivel. But there are also slots to connect the wings, and I'll do the transformation of its walking pose in a bit. There is a hip joint, but it's fairly limited due to how big the figure is. The legs are on a ball joint and can move around and have a decent spread. The knee is on a limited swivel, but the calf is on a hinge but also swivels. The feet don't have any motion to pose it in, but you can't do a decent pivot. And finally, both tails are on a system of ball joints, but don't force them into a position where the ball joints can disconnect. And my only criticism that I have with the posability of this figure is that the necks aren't as articulated as I imagined, as I thought it would be as posable as its SH Monster Arts counterfeit. But if the figure looks so damn good to the point of accuracy, and that I'm getting it with a significantly flexible price, that is a sacrifice I'm willing to take. Now that that's been dealt with, time to make Ghidorah into his walking position. And now that it's in its walking position, I can finally say that the final result is satisfying. The transformation itself, however, is an absolute chore, because I don't want to break it again, and you can imagine my anxiety whenever I carefully follow each step with caution. So if you're going to get this figure, do not break it, because you do not want to be in the position I was in. With it crawling in all fours, the figure is 7 inches tall and 19 inches wide. But when you actually stand it up with its hind legs and moves around its wings upwards, it's 12 inches tall and 24 inches wide. Now for the size comparisons with Ghidorah. Here he is next to the Bandai Mini Muto figure, the Bandai Mini Godzilla 2014 figure, the NECA 24-inch Godzilla figure, the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex, the rarest LEGO Smaug figure I have, Mega Construx Drogon and Knight Viserion, and finally, the Hiya Toys 2019 Doji Godzilla. To say that getting these like chocolate and vanilla would be an understatement to end all understatements, because those two complement and fight each other with their arch rivalry to an extent. On a side note, I do plans to get both the Mothra and Flameborn Rodan figures from Hiya, but I can't promise whether or not I do plan to review them. And considering that I'm a tad late to the reviewing party when it comes to these alone. Before I forget, Ghidorah also comes with accessories, these being their stands. One for the upper body, and these two for the wings. And despite on their criticisms, they are customizable and you could pose them in any way you want. But if you're going to have them standing up on the shelf, I highly recommend you use these. So do I recommend this figure? Absolutely, but get him cheap, which is why I do recommend getting the Gravity Beam variant of Ghidorah instead, because not only is it cheaper with more accessories, but it also resembles that of the King Ghidorah from the 1991 Toho film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, which in the process of this review, Hiya also plans to make, and whether or not I do plan to get the Gravity Beam version, the 1991 Ghidorah, as well as the 1991 Godzilla. But again, whether or not I do plan to review them or not, on whether or not I do get them. Anyway, that's it for this double review. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and or follow me on Twitter for more content that you'll find interesting. As always, stay safe, and I'll see y'all next time. Pizza! Alright, since no one else is here, time for me to see something I hope to own to one of my collections.